Camano Island, Washington, November 2008, 2:47 a.m. A 17-year-old kid is standing inside an unlocked aircraft hangar at East Sound Airport. In front of him sits a Cessna 182 Skylane, 4 seats, single engine, worth $150,000. He's never flown a plane before, never had a lesson, never sat in a real cockpit with real controls that actually matter. Everything he knows about flying comes from a video game and stolen flight manuals he read by flashlight while hiding in the woods. His name is Colton Harris Moore, and in about 8 minutes, he's going to steal this plane, fly at 300 miles across Washington state in complete darkness, crash land it in the mountains, walk away without a scratch, and disappear before anyone even knows he was there. This shouldn't be possible. Professional pilots train for years before their first solo flight. Colton trained on Microsoft Flight Simulator. But here's the crazy part. This is just the beginning. Over the next 2 years, he'll steal 4 more planes. He'll lead the FBI on a chase across 5 states. He'll crash land every single aircraft and survive every time. And his final escape attempt will be so insane, so impossible, that when you hear what he did, you won't believe it actually happened. This is the true story of the Barefoot Bandit, the teenager who taught himself to fly and made the entire FBI look like amateurs. Before we get into how Colton stole his first plane, you need to understand something. This kid wasn't some rich teenager joyriding for thrills. He wasn't doing this for fun or because he was bored. Colton Harris Moore had been running from police since he was 12 years old, and the reason why will make you understand everything that comes next. Camano Island, Washington, 1998 to 2005. Colton was 7 years old the first time he ran away from home. Not to a friend's house, not to a relative. He ran into the forest, the Pacific Northwest wilderness, dense trees, constant rain, temperatures that drop below freezing at night. A 7-year-old kid chose that over staying home. Why? Because home was worse. His mother was an alcoholic. His father abandoned the family. The house had holes in the walls, no heat in winter, some nights, no food at all. Teachers saw the bruises, saw the dirty clothes, saw a kid who came to school hungry every single day, but nobody did anything. The system looked the other way, so Colton learned to survive on his own. He built shelters in the woods, learned which berries were safe to eat, figured out how to stay warm in freezing rain, and when he needed food, he stole it, breaking into vacation homes while the owners were gone, not for TVs or jewelry, for bread, canned soup, a warm place to sleep for one night. By age 12, police knew his name. By 13, he had multiple arrests for burglary. By 14, they sent him to a juvenile detention center. He escaped after 3 weeks. And here's where most kids would run to family or friends, somewhere safe. Colton ran back to the forest. Because the forest didn't hurt him, didn't yell, didn't lock him in rooms. For the next 3 years, he lived like a ghost. Police would search for him, set up patrols. But Colton knew those woods better than anyone. He'd vanish for weeks, then break into a house, shower, eat, sleep in a real bed, and disappear again before sunrise. Sometimes he'd leave chalk drawings on the walls, little messages, his signature. The locals started calling him the boy in the woods. But here's what changed everything. Here's the moment that turned Colton from a runaway kid into an international fugitive. One night, while hiding in a vacation home, he found something that would change his life forever: a computer. And on that computer, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Most kids play Flight Simulator for fun. Colton studied it like his life depended on it. Because it did. He'd been running from police for years, living in the woods, breaking into homes, stealing food. But he was getting older. The police were getting smarter. The net was closing. And then Colton realized something brilliant. Police watch the roads. They set up roadblocks. They track license plates. They have helicopters. But nobody's watching small airports at 3 a.m. Nobody expects a teenager to steal an airplane. And planes can cross state lines in hours. Planes don't stop at borders. And if you crash land in the wilderness, the one place Colton knows better than anyone, you disappear completely. So he started breaking into vacation homes, specifically to play Flight Simulator. 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours straight, no sleep, just flying. He memorized the instrument panel, every dial, every switch, every gauge, altimeter, airspeed indicator, vertical speed, heading, fuel. He learned what they all meant through repetition. He'd crash the virtual plane, study what went wrong, adjust, try again. But he didn't stop there. He started breaking into small airports, sneaking into unlocked hangars at night, sitting in real cockpits, reading the flight manuals pilots left in their planes, matching the procedures in the manuals to the controls in the game, learning the language, mixture rich for takeoff, carb heat on for landing, trim for climb, words that mean nothing to most people, words that would keep him alive in a real cockpit. He practiced emergency procedures, engine failure, electrical failure, how to glide, how to find a place to crash land without dying. And then one night in November 2008, after months of preparation, Colton decided he was ready to steal his first plane, ready to fly, ready to become a legend. East Sound Airport, Orcas Island, Washington, November 11th, 2008, 2:47 a.m. The hangar door is unlocked. Inside sits the Cessna 182 Skylane. Colton's heart is pounding. This is it. Everything he's studied, everything he's prepared for. It all comes down to this moment. He climbs into the pilot's seat. The cockpit is more complicated than the game. More switches, more dials, more things that can kill you if you get them wrong. But he's studied this. He knows the sequence. Battery on, fuel pump, mixture rich, throttle cracked, magnetos to both, starter. The propeller spins, catches, the engine roars to life. He's actually doing this. The Cessna rolls forward out of the hangar. Colton taxis toward the runway. His hands are shaking on the controls. No tower, no clearance, no permission. Just a 17-year-old kid and a stolen plane. He lines up with the center line, takes a breath, pushes the throttle forward. The engine screams. The plane accelerates down the runway. 50 knots, 60, 70. He pulls back on the yoke. The nose lifts. The wheels leave the ground. Colton Harris Moore is flying. He banks southeast, climbs to 5,000 feet. The island disappears behind him. Below, nothing but darkness and mountains. He's navigating by compass and instinct. No GPS, no radio contact, no flight plan. Just a teenager who learned to fly from a video game, now piloting a real aircraft through the night sky. The flight should take about 90 minutes if everything goes perfectly, but nothing about this is perfect. He's fighting the controls. The plane feels different than the simulator, heavier, more responsive. The instruments are harder to read in the dark. And then he sees the fuel gauge, dropping faster than expected. He does the math in his head. Does he have enough to reach his destination? Maybe. He hopes. The mountains below look like black waves frozen in time. One wrong move and he's dead. One engine failure and there's nowhere to land. Just trees and rocks and darkness. But Colton keeps flying. An hour passes, then 90 minutes. The fuel gauge is getting dangerously low. He needs to land, now. He scans the ground below. Dense forest everywhere. Then he spots it. A clearing near the Yakama Indian Reservation. It's not a runway. It's barely flat, but it's all he's got. He reduces throttle. The plane descends. This is the moment. Everything he's practiced, every crash in the simulator, every emergency procedure he memorized. It all comes down to the next 60 seconds. The clearing rushes up to meet him. He's coming in too fast, way too fast. He pulls back. The nose lifts. The wheels hit hard. The plane bounces, slams down again. He's skidding across rough terrain, trees on both sides. The left wing clips a branch. The plane spins. The right wing tears off. Metal screaming, the fuselage crashes through brush, tumbling, scraping, destroying itself. And then, silence. Colton sits there in the wrecked cockpit, hands still gripping the yoke, heart hammering in his chest. He checks himself. No blood, no broken bones, nothing. He just flew 300 miles and crash-landed a plane in the mountains. And he's alive. He climbs out through the shattered windscreen. The Cessna is destroyed, wings torn off, fuselage crumpled. $150,000 worth of aircraft turned into scrap metal. But Colton is walking. He grabs his backpack, looks at the wreckage one last time, and disappears into the forest. By the time police find the plane 8 hours later, he's 20 miles away. They search the wreckage expecting to find a body. Instead, they find an empty cockpit and a mystery. Who the hell just did this? And where did they go? The FBI is about to find out. And they are not going to like the answer. Within 24 hours, investigators piece together what happened. Fingerprints in the cockpit match a name in the system. Colton Harris Moore, age 17. Wanted for burglary in 3 counties, known to be living in the wilderness, and now, apparently, knows how to fly. The FBI takes over the case immediately. This isn't just some runaway kid anymore. This is a teenager stealing aircraft. And if he did it once, he'll do it again. They're right. Over the next 18 months, Colton steals 4 more planes Plane number 2, stolen from an airport in Washington state. He flies it to Idaho, crash lands in a field, walks away. Plane number 3, stolen from Idaho. He flies it to South Dakota, crash lands near a highway, walks away. Plane number 4, stolen from South Dakota. He flies it to Wisconsin, crash lands in a forest, walks away. Every single time, the same pattern. Steal a plane at night, fly across state lines, crash land in a remote area, disappear into the wilderness before police arrive. And here's what makes this so genius. When police get close in one state, Colton just flies to another. Clean slate, new hunting ground, new state police who don't know him yet. By the time they figure out he's there, he's already gone. The FBI is furious. They're tracking him across 5 states. They know his methods. They know his face. They've issued alerts to every small airport in America, but they can't catch him. How is a teenager outsmarting the entire Federal Bureau of Investigation? The answer is simple. Everyone's chasing him on the ground. Nobody expects him to be in the air. The media picks up the story. The Barefoot Bandit becomes a folk hero. Some people see him as a criminal. Others see him as a modern-day outlaw. A kid who survived impossible odds and taught himself to fly. Facebook fan pages appear, t-shirts, bumper stickers. Fly, Colton, fly. The attention makes Colton even more wanted. The FBI escalates. Homeland Security gets involved. Airports increase security. But Colton stays ahead, breaking into homes for supplies, stealing boats when he needs water transportation, stealing cars when he needs to get to airports. He's not just a plane thief anymore. He's a one-man crime wave. And then in July 2010, Colton makes a decision that will shock everyone. He's going to make one final flight, and this one will be the most insane escape attempt in modern history. Indiana, July 4th, 2010, 1:30 a.m. Colton breaks into a small airport outside Indianapolis. He's stolen 4 planes before, but this time is different. This time he's not flying to the next state. He's flying to the Bahamas, across the ocean, over 1,000 miles of open water, in a single-engine plane he's never flown before. Most experienced pilots wouldn't attempt this without extensive preparation, navigation equipment, filed flight plans, emergency protocols. Colton has none of that. What he has is a Cessna 400 Corvallis, a full tank of fuel, and a plan so crazy it might actually work. He starts the engine, taxis to the runway, and takes off into the darkness, pointing the nose southeast toward the Atlantic Ocean. The flight will take about 7 hours if everything goes perfectly, but nothing about this is perfect. He has no GPS, no radio communication, no weather updates, no backup plan if the engine fails over the ocean. He's navigating by compass and dead reckoning, the same way pilots flew 100 years ago. The first 2 hours are easy, flying over land, lights below marking towns and cities, but then he crosses the Florida coast, and everything changes. Below him, nothing but black water. Above him, stars. No landmarks, no reference points, just the endless Atlantic and the sound of the engine. If that engine quits now, he's dead. No emergency landing, no crashing in the woods and walking away. Just a long fall into dark water. 3 hours pass, 4 hours, 5. The fuel gauge drops steadily. He's doing math in his head, calculating range, fuel consumption, distance remaining. Does he have enough? He thinks so. Maybe. The sun starts rising ahead of him, light spreading across the water, and then, on the horizon, he sees it. Land, the Bahamas, a chain of islands scattered across turquoise water. He's actually going to make it. Stop and think about what just happened. A 19-year-old with zero formal flight training just flew a stolen plane across 1,000 miles of ocean. Alone, at night, with nothing but a compass, one engine failure, one navigation mistake, one fuel miscalculation, and he'd be at the bottom of the Atlantic. But he made it. He's looking down at paradise, freedom. Now comes the hard part, landing. He can't fly into an airport. Customs would arrest him immediately. Immigration would see he has no passport, no documents, no legal way to be here. So Colton does what he always does. He improvises. He spots a beach on Great Abaco Island. Long, empty, no people, no buildings, just white sand and palm trees. Perfect. He lines up his approach, drops lower. The beach rushes toward him. This is going to hurt. The wheels hit soft sand. Immediately, the plane starts sinking. The nose dips forward. The propeller strikes the beach. Metal explodes into shards, spraying across the sand. The Cessna skids, tilts, buries itself halfway into the beach, and finally stops. Colton sits there, heart pounding, hands shaking. Then he opens the door and steps out. Warm tropical air, the sound of waves, the smell of salt water. He just flew across the ocean and survived. He's standing on a Bahamian beach, outside American jurisdiction, outside the FBI's reach. Colton Harris Moore just pulled off the most insane escape in modern history. If you think this story ends with Colton living free in the Bahamas, You're wrong, because his luck is about to run out in the worst way possible. Within 2 hours, Bahamian police know exactly who he is. The FBI sent them everything: photos, fingerprints, criminal profile, and a very clear message: we want him back. But here's Colton's problem. The Bahamas isn't Washington State. It's a small island, 70 miles long, surrounded by ocean. You can't disappear into a forest for months. You can't steal a car and drive to another state. Everyone knows everyone, and the police know every hiding spot. Colton realizes this too late. He spends the first night hiding near the beach. By morning, he's starving, so he does what he always does: breaks into a house, steals food and clothes. But the owner comes back early, sees the broken window, calls police. Now the entire island knows he's here. Police set up roadblocks, check every car, every boat, every plane. Tourists start posting on social media: the Barefoot Bandit is here. It becomes a game. Spot the fugitive. The net is closing. Colton tries to stay ahead, breaking into houses, changing locations every few hours. But this isn't the wilderness. This is a tourist island with cameras and security and police who actually respond. By day 3, he's desperate, cornered, hunted, and that's when he makes one last move. July 11th, 2010, 3 a.m. He finds a speedboat at a marina. Keys in the ignition. Rookie mistake by the owner. Colton steals it, races into the dark ocean. One final escape attempt, heading for another island. Any island, just away from the police closing in. The Bahamian police get the call immediately. They launch pursuit boats, fast ones with lights and guns. Colton pushes the throttle to maximum. The boat skims across dark water. He can see police lights behind him, getting closer. He's done this before: outrun police, disappear, but not on the ocean, not in a boat he doesn't know. The engine starts sputtering. He didn't check the fuel. The boat slows. The engine coughs, dies. Colton is dead in the water. Police boats surround him, lights everywhere, voices shouting, hands up, do not move. Colton stands there on the deck, surrounded, nowhere to run, no plane to steal, no forest to hide in. For 2 years, he's been ahead of everyone: FBI, police, Homeland Security. He stole 5 planes, crashed every one, walked away every time. July 11th, 2010. It's over. Colton Harris Moore is arrested, extradited to the United States. He pleads guilty to over 50 federal charges. The judge sentences him to 6.5 years in federal prison, released in 2016. Today, he's trying to turn his life around, working toward a degree in aeronautical engineering. The kid who taught himself to fly wants to design planes legally. Sometimes the impossible is possible if you're crazy enough to try.